What's up? Billy Carson here, also known as Forbidden Knowledge. And don't forget, 3-day free trial on forbiddenknowledge.tv, Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4. You can go there and you can actually get access to great streaming content. Today I want to hop on, this evening I want to hop on and talk a little bit about an article that I found online. A reporter in particular, had listened in, I'm assuming, on my Saturday night lecture that I did last Saturday, and with spiritual leader Deborah Giusti. And it was broadcast live, it was free, and it probably was about 20 or 30,000 people on there. So this gentleman must have been on the actual live, or maybe watched it after it was live, then it went we did it live, but then it was, of course, it went to Facebook and it went to their YouTube channel. So he must have either watched it live or saw it later. However, either way, he wrote a great article, and the article is on medium.com, a very, very mainstream, very nice, media source. So I'm pretty excited about that. So I see a lot of the great comments. Thanks a lot. I appreciate you guys. So I'm going to read this article. And I'm also going to post this article in a swipe up link in my story. So if you come back later on and you want to swipe up and read it yourself, it'll be there as well. But the article's on medium.com, daily news by this gentleman named Martin Gray, who's the actual author of this article. And how I found this article, by the way, was, as you know, there have been fake accounts popping up with my name on social media, fake websites using my name and my photos. So I decided to go in and search, and every day I go and do a quick search just to see if this person or whoever it was, was still making these fake pages. As just of 2 days ago, there was a fake page I found. So while I was doing that Google search, this article came up, and that's how I found it. So I didn't even know it was out there. Okay, let me get my glasses here. It says, Universal Mind. Billy Carson shares how we are all one consciousness. It says, all that exists in the universal mind and nothing more than that one mind, a broad comment. Let me read that again, guys. All that exists is the universal mind and nothing more than that one mind. A broad comment made by Billy Carson, who shares his incredible insights on the theory of universal mind or common consciousness. The theory continues to draw the interest of scientists and philosophers across the globe. It is a much researched subject with varying facts and possibilities towards the idea of the universal mind. Have you ever heard the term universal mind? It refers to a single unified consciousness from which all consciousness, including your own, arises. The idea of a universal mind describes a field of energy or life force that permeates all of creation. Philosophers who supported the concept of a universal mind, including the pre-Socratic Greek thinker Anaxagoras and the Greek philosopher Hegel, wrote, the universal mind contained all reality and thought that all knowledge that ever existed or will exist lies within the universal mind. You will understand that you are a spirit which has been cast into a mold of a human being as the manifestation of divine intelligence. Being a pure spirit, you are part of the universal mind, and that intelligence and all the power and understanding of this intelligence is within your reach. There is only one intelligence, one mind in all creation, and we are all part of it. Things like thought transfer, hypnosis, and clairvoyance are just a few examples of that fact that we are all using the same mind. The same author has written all the books, the same engineer has built all the buildings and bridges, the same artist has painted all the paintings, the same musician has composed all the music. You, your neighbor, all of us, we are all one, details Carson, who is professionally attributed as a visionary, author, teacher, philanthropist, and inventor. He also holds a certificate in applied neuroscience at MIT and a certificate in ancient civilizations at Harvard University. The universal mind that flows through all human beings did not know what limitation or lack is, and nothing is impossible for it. Its dominant characteristic is creativity. Since the mind is all knowledge and all power, the only thing that this mind does is create and believe exactly what each individual mind thinks. It is not a question of whether or not you use it. Every day of your life you are using it, since it is impossible not to use it, since the mind is part of you. And in reality, it is part of your true being. The universal mind knows no difference between big or small, rich or poor, big or insignificant. This mind provides according to the need and creates according to a desire. It is creating in your life exactly what you are thinking about. Imagine this mind as a plastic container that contains all energy, all knowledge, and all substance. Imagine this mind as a medium that responds only to thought and responds according to the thought's intensity or firmness. This boils down to the following formula: thought plus conviction equals manifestation. Still, let's say that although the conscious mind wants success, if the subconscious mind believes that success is impossible, then the emotional thinking is directed to failure. The result is going to be a failure. Learn to change your subconscious mind to be able to manifest what your conscious mind wants to manifest. In this regard, Carson shares, quantum mechanics confirms this. The universe arises from thought, and all this matter that surrounds us has been created as a result of thought. We can know everything from within our consciousness, which is ultimately the universal consciousness that governs the universe. We are the creators of the universe. There is no limit to human potential. There is only the degree to which we recognize that deep dynamic and exercise it, the degree which we can wield our power. It exists in all things. All the knowledge, discoveries, and inventions of the future are already in the universal mind in the form of possibilities, waiting for the human mind to tune into them. Every creation and invention in the history of mankind has emerged from the universal mind, whether the person consciously knew it or not. Your consciousness contains everything. The only thing that happens is that when we don't see it, we are all connected and we are all part of the unique energy field and overmind, the unique consciousness or the creative source. That's a great article written by Martin Gray, who has a BSc degree in Media Lab Arts from the University of Plymouth. Thanks a lot, Martin Gray. His Twitter is at Daily News 365 on Twitter, at Daily New News, at Daily New News 365, the number 365 on Twitter. I appreciate you, Martin Gray. Thanks so much for that great article. And boy, he really paid attention. I mean, this is exactly what I was talking about last Saturday on that live that I was on. And I actually did a little mini PowerPoint presentation as well, talking about the power of the mind, the power of consciousness. And when you look into the Hermetic principles, the first principle of Hermeticism is what? The mind. The mind is all. All is mind. Okay? And what that literally means is we are literally creating reality moment by moment. The only thing that exists in the third dimension is consciousness and electromagnetic waves. So you have everything existing, everything you think is solid really exists as a specific electromagnetic frequency. So for example, these scissors to you right now, the way that your mind has deciphered it and collapsed it, appear to be what we call scissors. But this particular item and all the atoms that make up this item or this object, each atom has electron, proton orbiting the nucleus, and each one of the atoms inside this scissor vibrated at a specific frequency. Now, when this isn't a scissor, it's something else. It's an electromagnetic wave. It's a wave function. So when you look into quantum physics, you discover that everything exists as waves of possibilities, each one attuned to its own specific frequency. So there's a specific frequency that our consciousness collapses this frequency into what we call a scissor that we can then use as a tool in the third dimension. When you're at home, you can see everything as your home, all the structure. Okay, it appears to be solid. When you leave your home and drive away, when you can't see your home anymore, it only exists as a wave of possibilities. And this is proven in science. I know it's hard to wrap your mind around it, but it's real physics. Every electron that orbits an atom is conscious because electrons are conscious. Particles are conscious because particles can make a decision whether to be a wave or whether to be a digital bit of information. Again, this has been tested in laboratories all around the world multiple times. When you're not looking at particles, they operate as waves. When you then put a camera to observe them, they turn into particles. They make a conscious decision to switch back and forth. And because of this, we now know that everything exists as waves. And in physics.org, I think it was last year, maybe October of last year, they got the first image captured of a wave turning into a particle. They actually caught it midstream during the conversion process, where a wave formed a frequency turning into a solid object. We've also now, just like Thoth talks about in the Emerald Tablets, 36,000 years ago, he was talking about using photon light energy to create solid matter. We just now have developed the capability of creating solid matter in the laboratory. This is something new that we've also done. So we're taking wavelengths of light and converting them into solidity, or at least the illusion of solidity. I'll read this article to you real quick. This article was published May 18, 2014. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but just enough of it. Imperial College London physicists have discovered how to create matter from light. A feat thought impossible when the idea was first theorized 80 years ago. In just one day, over several cups of coffee in a tiny office in Imperial's Blackest Physics Laboratory, 3 physicists worked out a relatively simple way to physically prove the theory that was devised by scientists Brayton and Wheeler in 1934. Brayton and Wheeler suggested that it should be possible to turn light into matter by smashing together only 2 particles of light, or photons, to create an electron and a positron, the simplest method of turning light into matter ever predicted. The calculation was found to be theoretically sound, but Brayton and Wheeler said they had never expected anybody to physically demonstrate their prediction. It has never been observed in the laboratory, and past experiments to test have required that the addition of massive high-energy particles be used. The new research published in the Nature of Photonics, shows for the first time how Brayton Wheeler's theory could be proven in practice. The photon and photon collider, which would convert light directly into matter using technology that is already available, would be a new type of high-energy physics experiment. So it goes on to say, let's see here, we can get down to the last bit here. Professor Steve Rose in the Department of Physics at the Imperial College London said, despite all physics accepted to the theory to be true, when Brayton Wheeler first proposed the theory, they said that they never expected it to be shown in the laboratory. Today, nearly 80 years later, we proved them wrong. So they've now converted photonic light, which is waves, into solid matter. So they've taken waves and converted it into matter, and they can do it at will now, okay? So, guys, it's... Now, the reason why this is important is because guess what? Let me give you the correlation between why I'm reading this to you. Your brain creates what? Waves of what? Waves of light. Your brain creates electromagnetic waves. Every thought that you're thinking, including the thoughts you're thinking right now while you're listening to me and while you're typing your comments and everything else, your brain is generating electromagnetic waves. Waves of light that you can't see with your physical eye because human beings can only see 1% of the light spectrum. But there's so much more. There's 99.9% of the light spectrum we don't see. So if I took a cap and put it on your head with the little electrodes on it and told you to think about something, those thoughts would leave your skull, go into those little sensors, and then go to a computer, and I can see everything that's on your mind. Literally, this is what we do right now in every single Forget laboratory, they do this in hospitals now. So, with that being said, that means that every thought that you think is creating an electromagnetic wave that's going out into space-time. So whatever was in that thought, that specific frequency, is in space-time permanently, for eternity. It enters into a realm we call the Akashic Records, and that's where it's stored and stays. So when you hear people talking about things like the Book of Life, you know, it's real. It's a real thing. Every thought that you've ever come up with exists, and every thought that any being in the entire universe has ever come up with exists in space-time. All those thoughts are flowing out in space right now. And all that it takes is for you to match the frequency of somebody else's thought, and you can download that thought directly into your mind. You may think you come up with a great idea about something, but you probably just match the frequency of information that already exists. All knowledge and all information already exists all around you in space-time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You just need to know how to access it. Some people have developed the ability to access the Akashic Records. So your full record of your entire life and everything you've ever done and every thought you've ever done exists. Scientifically now reality, not fantasy, not because it's in the Bible and because it's in these other ancient texts, but because it's actually real. It really does exist. Everything you've ever done, every thought, is all existing right now in space-time. In 1960, a TV show came out called I Love Lucy. Now, those I Love Lucy episodes were on a radio TV frequency, and anything else that was on TV in the radio frequency range, including today. Those waves are waves of light. Radio waves travel at the speed of light, and they are electromagnetic waves or light waves with specific encoding on them, data on them. Now, those are still traveling through space through perpetuity. They'll never stop. As a matter of fact, if they come across a civilization that has the sophistication to pick up those very faint radio waves that emanated from Earth, how many ever thousands of years prior, they can watch an episode of I Love Lucy. Okay? Same thing with your brain. Exact same thing that's happening with the radio station, the TV station, is also happening with your brain station. You're sending information out. We literally create everything. Everything that we have in this third dimensional realm is created by thought. Thought waves create everything. Okay, I use this same thing all the time. I'll do it again real quick. Somebody thought about this cell phone, and they thought about it on the consciousness platform. Talking about platforms, the first original platform is the mind platform. All is mind. In their mind, they thought about this particular object, the shape, the size, the color, what it's going to be, what it's going to do, and everything else. From there, it left the consciousness platform, which is an electromagnetic wave platform in the ether of space-time, and then you have to then take it to a two-dimensional platform. So what do? You write it down on paper. You draw it on paper, or you take it into a computer and you make it into you put it inside of a CAD, a computer-assisted design software program. Regardless, it's still two-dimensional, whether it's in a computer or on a piece of paper, 2D. So you take it from the etherical realm, which is multidimensional, then you collapse it down to a 2D realm on a 2D platform. And then from there, what do? You then give that information to an engineer. That engineer then takes that data from that 2D platform and converts it into a three-dimensional object that can be manipulated and moved around in three-dimensional space-time on an XYZ axis. Up, down, right, left, right? That's what happens. This was nothing more than an electromagnetic wave of frequency that emanated from somebody's skull into space-time and is now a physical reality in the third dimension. Everything in the third dimension is created by this method. We are the creators. Literally, period. If we weren't, there would be nothing here. There would be nothing here. You'd be walking around butt naked, with nothing to do. You wouldn't even be able to, all you can do is pick up rocks and stuff. There'd be nothing for you to do. Pick up twigs and tree limbs. There's nothing for you to do. There'll be nothing here. Everything in this third dimension is created by thought, and including the things that are here, the nature that's here. Because we're living inside of a universal mind, well, that mind created everything that is here. People have this concept about evolution. The truth is, macroevolution doesn't exist. Now, microevolution exists. Microevolution is small adjustments to your surroundings or your environment over time. Macro means a piece of sludge in a lake and slime in a lake from 10 billion years ago turns into a human being 100 billion years later, some ridiculous number. That's false. A scientist took a flask and he sterilized it with flame, heat, sterilized the inside of the flask. Then he vacuumed it, so he sealed. He sucked all the air out after he sterilized it and sealed it. Put it down, came back a few days later. Under an electron microscope, he analyzed the contents of what should be nothing at all inside that flask. Guess what, guys? There was life in there. Not only life, fully formed little creatures and on the microscopic level. In other words, these things emanated into reality on the microscopic level, most likely through the vesica piscis, which is the cross section or the womb of creation that's inside of the flower of life. Okay, a lot of these things are the things that I talk about, in my lectures and workshops, and I like to back all my stuff up by science and information that can be looked up and researched, because I think it's important that people understand that there is a connection between physics, quantum physics, and the other sciences, biology, as well as spirituality. All of this stuff goes together, all of it. And it's not to be separated. It's all supposed to be combined to one. When you keep it separate, you never get the full picture. And if you're trying to understand spirituality without understanding physics, quantum physics, and the subatomic world, then you won't understand fully how the spirituality is actually working and why it's working. It's working specifically because of you have an understanding of the process. Instead of just memorizing answers to multiplication tables, which is what we do in school, we know that 1 times 1 is 1 and 2 times 1 is 2 and blah, 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 because we memorize the answers. But if you go to a person and ask them, why is that? They'll have a delay in how they can answer you, because it'll take them a minute to try to figure out why the multiplication answer is what it is. So what happens in spirituality, a lot of people don't know why this does that. And if I do this meditation, this is going to happen. They don't see the connecting pieces in between. And the quantum physics and quantum mechanics really explains the pieces in between. The raw science explains the pieces in between and gives you the capability of understanding how to maximize your efforts, and understanding the process better will help you have more success in what you're trying to achieve. All right. Anyway, guys, that's enough for tonight. I want to just hop on and drop a little something on you. I saw this great article that this gentleman wrote about me, and I really appreciate that. If I can get back to his name again. His name was Martin Gray. If you're out there, Martin Gray, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I thought your article was fantastic. I'm going to post this article and I'm going to share it, and I'm also going to put it on a swipe up with the link to the article in my stories on all my different accounts. All right. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Don't forget, I'll be speaking tomorrow. Go to portaltoascension.org or ascensionconference.com, ascensionconference.com, or portaltoascension.org. And it's a free conference going on. It started today and it's running all the way through the 5th of October. Every single day is free. Dozens of free speakers to listen to and workshops to listen to. And I'll be on tomorrow around, 3:30 p.m. Eastern. And then again, I'll be on a spiritual panel tomorrow night around 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I got to check my times, but I'm pretty sure that's close to what it is. All right. Hey, much love. I appreciate you guys. Don't forget, 3-day free trial on forbiddenknowledge.tv. We're on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV. I do have some episodes called Gratitude on Amazon Prime Video. And we're also on the iOS apps and the Android apps as well. All right. I appreciate y'all, man. Thank you so much.